Can you still feel the thrill of snapping a CD into your Discman, slipping on those foamy headphones, and stepping out the door with your entire favorite album in your pocket? In the 90s, music wasn't just something you heard, it was something you carried, a private concert waiting for you on every bus ride, walk, or lazy afternoon in the park. That familiar click of the lid, the gentle whir of the spinning disc, and the way your favorite tracks soared through the air, crisp and clear, untouched by static or station fuzz. These details defined a new era of true portability. Gone were the days when you had to sit by the stereo or untangled tapes. The Discman gave us the freedom to create our own soundtrack, to claim moments just for ourselves. Do you remember the challenge of walking just the right speed to avoid the dreaded skip, yet still feeling rebellious and free? The Discman was more than just a gadget. It was a ticket to escape, a companion that turned the everyday into something special. So, what made the Discman so unforgettable, and how did it change the way we listened forever? Let's press play on those memories and step back into the soundtrack of the 90s. Think back for a moment. Before the Discman became the ultimate symbol of musical freedom in the 90s, what did we rely on to soundtrack our lives on the go? For many, it was the trusty cassette Walkman, with its familiar jangle of tangled tape and the gentle push-pull of those tiny plastic play and rewind buttons. The Walkman had already transformed how we experienced music in the late 70s and all through the 80s. Suddenly, privacy wasn't just a luxury, it was a right. Kids could lose themselves in Springsteen, parents could escape with Billy Joel, and teenagers could drown out the world with the latest Prince album, all with just a set of headphones. But as the new decade dawned, everything was about to change. The compact disc, slick, shiny, and futuristic, had begun capturing America's imagination in the mid-80s. The sound quality was crystal clear, free from the hiss and occasional warble that even the best cassette player couldn't quite shake. Remember the first time you saw a CD, how it shimmered in the light, making you feel like you were holding a piece of tomorrow? This was more than a new format. It was an invitation to see music differently, to hear every note exactly as it was meant to be heard. Yet in those early years, CDs lived mostly on home stereos and in car decks, bulky machines not meant for the open road or city sidewalks. Carrying around your favorite album was still a matter of stuffing a cassette into a Walkman with all the limitations that came with it. The idea of bringing a spinning disc with you on a jog, a bus ride, or a trip to the mall seemed impossibly futuristic. People wondered, would CDs ever be as portable as tapes? Could a delicate disc survive the rigors of everyday life? Enter Sony, the company that had already changed music once with the Walkman. In 1984, they released the world's first portable CD player, the D50, known in many markets, including eventually in the US, as the Discman. But this first Discman was a far cry from the sleek gadgets we would come to know and love in the 90s. It was hefty, more of a briefcase accessory than something you could slip into the pocket of your acid-wash jeans. It ate up batteries almost as quickly as it devoured tracks, and it was more at home on a stable desk than in the jostle of your daily routine. Still, for audiophiles and tech enthusiasts, the D50 was a sign. The portable music revolution wasn't stopping. The race was on. Throughout the late 80s, companies like Panasonic, Philips, and Aiwa scrambled to improve on the original designs. They battled battery life, skipping issues, and bulky form factors. Early models required you to keep a watchful eye. A single bump could send the music screeching to a halt, leaving you standing there, headphones silent, wishing for the reliability of your old tape deck. But engineers pressed on, whittling the size down to something manageable, lightening the load we had to carry. By the early 90s, the Discman had slimmed down, smoothed out its edges, and packed its circuitry into ever more compact cases. The world was about to see a new wave of truly personal music experience. But there's a detail you might not recall. In the late 80s, when these machines first appeared, CDs themselves were expensive, often costing twice as much as their vinyl or cassette equivalents. Did you ever save up lunch money or pool a birthday check just to buy a single disc? That first CD felt precious. It was an investment, something to be treasured. Some people even kept their prized discs in protective sleeves, not daring to let a single scratch mar the perfection. And there was a whole etiquette, a ritual, to handling them, always by the edges, never touching the bottom, blowing off invisible dust as if it were gold dust itself. At the same time, the music industry began shifting on its axis. Albums were now being recorded and mastered with the clarity of the CD in mind. Artists and producers were excited to play with the widened dynamic range and the almost total absence of background noise. There are stories of some record store listeners wandering the aisles, sampling the clarity of a CD demo station and never being able to go back to cassettes. The magic of digital. Music had begun its quiet invasion. A fun twist, the name Discman wasn't always universally accepted. In Europe, for example, some models were sold as the CD Walkman or just as portable CD player. But for Americans, the Discman became a shorthand, a brand that transcended the actual manufacturer. Much like we Xeroxed papers or Googled information years later, everyone called their portable CD player the Discman, no matter who made it. Did you ever try to impress your friends by bringing your Discman along for a day out, only to discover batteries drained before you even got through half the album? Many a Saturday hangout ended with a sudden silence when the AAAs gave out, and if you were lucky, someone had a spare. If not, you learned the art of rationing your favorite tracks. These limitations, strangely enough, made listening special. Every play felt deliberate, every song a choice, not just background noise. A surprising fact from this era, it wasn't just pop and rock fans who flocked to the Discman. Classical listeners celebrated the arrival too, finally able to hear Beethoven's softest passages without hiss, or the full range of Mahler's symphonies without flipping a tape mid-movement. The Discman suddenly bridged generations. Parents and teenagers were at last united over a single, sleek machine, even if only for a few minutes before tastes diverged again. Another little-known twist, some Discmans came equipped with a line-out jack, allowing them to be hooked into massive home stereo systems. It meant you could take your entire music collection from the living room to the backyard barbecue, sharing your precious CDs with everyone, or keeping them just for yourself, depending on your mood. Do you remember the first place you ever took your Discman? Was it on a family road trip stuffed into the back seat with a backpack full of CDs? Maybe it was a walk through your neighborhood park, every step perfectly synced to your personal playlist. Those moments, small as they seemed, became snapshots of freedom. Suddenly you didn't have to be where the music was where you were. The Discman didn't just usher in a technological leap, it created new habits, rituals, and tiny daily adventures. But as the 90s pressed on, what really catapulted the Discman into icon status was how it finally solved those nagging issues, skipping included, and embraced a generation hungry for choice and clarity. So, how did these innovations shape not only our listening experience, but the very way we thought about music on the move? That's a tune worth exploring as we dig even deeper into the magic that made the Discman a 90s legend. Get ready to press next track, because the story is just getting started. As we wind down our journey through the era of the Discman, it's impossible not to feel a certain warmth and pride in having witnessed a true golden age of music technology. Over the course of the 90s, this unassuming circular gadget did more than just play our favorite albums. It redefined what freedom sounded like. We started our exploration with the tactile memory of popping open that spring-loaded lid and sliding in a shimmering CD, the simple anticipation in those seconds before the whirring began. We remembered the ways Discmans freed us from tangled tapes and static-laden FM radios, transforming buses, sidewalks, schoolyards, and road trips into our own private concert halls. We talked about how, in its early days, the Discman was bulky and quick to skip if your step was too spirited, but innovation pressed forward. Anti-skip protection and longer battery life arrived. Slim bodies and colourful designs made these players accessories as well as essentials. Suddenly we could take entire albums from U2, Whitney, or Garth Brooks wherever we went. For many, it was the first time music truly belonged to us. Portable, pristine, and personal. Those of us who lived through that era recall hunched school lockers stuffed with jewel cases, hands clutching mix CDs titled in black marker, and the shared ritual of swapping favorite tracks with friends during lunch breaks. Who could forget the satisfying snap as you closed the lid, or the eager pressing of the skip button to jump right to the chorus you loved most? But beyond the surface, the Discman changed not just how we listened, but how we understood music's place in our daily lives. Suddenly music could fill the silent spaces, soothe a restless mind on a long commute, or bring clarity to a morning walk. With every innovation, it reinforced a sense of independence, a world where you chose your soundtrack instead of letting someone else decide for you. This was an era where albums still mattered, where we listened from track one straight through to the final note, appreciating not just the singles, but the stories artists meant to tell, start to finish. Even as technology pushed forward, ushering in MP3 players and streaming services, it's the Discman's mixture of tactile satisfaction and musical immersion that lingers in our hearts. So many of us still remember the feel of those foamy headphones after a long afternoon's use, the unique scent of a new CD booklet, or the way the world faded when you pressed play. The Discman stands as a symbol of a time when owning music meant caring for it, choosing carefully and cherishing every listen. Did the Discman make an appearance in your college backpack, your glove box, or that little bedside drawer? When you think back, is there a particular album or song that instantly brings those portable days to life again? If you enjoyed this stroll down memory lane, I'd love to hear the soundtrack to your own Discman years. Share your favorite Discman memory or the CD you played most often in the comments below. What road did it take you down, and what moments did it make unforgettable? Don't forget to hit like if you're feeling the nostalgia, and subscribe for more journeys through the music and memory of decades past. You might even want to send this to a friend who remembers untangling those headphone cords beside you. Because just like finding the perfect spot to sit and press play all those years ago, every reflection on the Discman brings a few precious moments back to life, one click, one track, one memory at a time.